Hello, fellow old schoolers. So we watched a couple of games from Skynet from the Tron Wars, and as previous said, yeah, these are the guys. These the missing one, but three of the fellas holding this event, setting it up here. Yeah, but this series of games here is a mate of mine, Jens Ole. We've seen him before. Here he is balancing on a big ball of snow, and he's made a BB-8 archetype that we're going to follow throughout the tournament here. And in this first match, he's coming up against a Dead Guy Ale. A beautiful deck, but not the regular Dead Guy Ale. This one has some stark differences here. It's more like a Juzam-Geddon deck, and then it has some pretty sexy sideboard options here. Here we see it. He calls it Dead Guy Ale, but actually, yeah, it is more of a Juzam-Geddon deck, right? It has way more white in it than the Dead Guy Ale usually has. But it is blue and white like the Dead Guy Ale is. Creature package is a couple of Sarah Angels, 4 Juzam-Geddons, and 4 Hypnotic Spectres, and then we have 3 Armageddons here. And he'll use his Moxen and his Dark Rituals to bounce back from that Armageddon quicker than the other guy. He'll likely try to put out a big beater like a Juzam-Geddon and then cast Armageddon and just punch face with that. Sort of like Armageddon actually, but yeah, in a different shell. We also have Underworld Dreams here as an additional way to ping the other guy and punish him for draw power. And this deck also makes use of land tax and a heck of a lot of basic lands here. And obviously that runs well with Armageddons as well, because the moment the other guy plays more lands than this deck does, well, the Juzam-Geddon will just restock on lands and yeah, bounce back from the Armageddon. Usual removal here, or maybe not. We have 3 Source to Plowshares, but we also have 2 main deck Spirit Links. Those are very nice as well. Very good against burn decks like his opponent here, because if you Spirit Link your own Juzam-Geddon, it won't do any damage to you, and you'll heal up 5 points of damage each time it attacks, even if it's blocked. And yeah, 5 life a turn, no burn deck can keep up with that for long. So yeah, but I've never seen that before, having the main deck. In Composition A, I used them in my sideboard against burn decks, but here they are, additional removal here, an additional way to either annul the other guy's creatures by playing Spirit Links on them, or to put on your own attacking creatures and then, yeah, heal up. And it might come in handy in this matchup because he is against the burn player. In the sideboard, he has both moats and even more Sarah Angels. So I presume that after sideboard, he can make a switcheroo here and take out his Juzam-Geddons and just put in Sarah Angels, and Hypnotic Spectres will be there, and then we'll have moats to block the opposing ground army. I actually think that would be a very solid strategy against robots here. In the beginning of this tournament, I did predict we'll see a lot of skies archetypes here, because moats, I tend to think they're kind of nice against robots, and especially if he makes use of that circular protection red as well. Sitting behind a moat and a circular protection red, Jens Ole will have a hard time getting through that, right? As for the rest of the sideboard here, we see Sushis. Those could be in as well against Jens Ole, because they're great against the Abyss. Then in that case, he will take the Juzam-Geddons out and take the Sushis in. He won't take moats in. We also see Divine Offerings. Those will have a place as well in this matchup. Then we have a Wrath of God against aggro decks, and just a lot of single cards just to top his strategies off. So we have the 4th Disenchant, the 4th Underworld Dreams, the 4th Swords to Plowshares here. So you can just stock up on that those strategies, and also a 3rd Spirit Link here if needs be. So overall, this Dead Guy Ale is a rather original and spicy amalgamation of different archetypes here, with Armageddons and land tax and Sarah Angels, and after sideboard it can transform into a sky setup with moats. And in the first match it will be more like a regular Dead Guy Ale / Juzam-Geddon deck. Coming up against BB-8, let's go over Jens Ole's deck that we will follow throughout this tournament. So we see Jens Ole's robot deck here, quite fun, a bit of fun. Both decks have 61 cards exactly. That's kind of odd, but yeah, I've gone over this deck a bunch. I had a focused patch type video on this particular brew on the channel, and you can go and watch that if you want a more in-depth look at it. But yeah, it's a robot deck, but it's plays very differently than Skynet. It's a lot more aggressive and has I guess less staying power perhaps, but more like trying to rush the other guy down with quick robots, copy artifacts, and lightning bolts and sonic blasts. BB-8 takes its name from 8 bots and 8 burn spells. In this case, 4 sonic blasts and 4 lightning bolts. Fully powered, as the other, with blue power as well. And we have mana vaults to ramp out the big creatures. Main deck City in a Bottle, that might be crucial here against all the Juzam-Geddons. And main deck shatters, they won't come in effect as much. We see the other guy can make a transformation into skies and try to hold Jens Ole back with those motes, but Jens Ole can actually transform with Shivan Dragons here. 3 Shivan Dragons after sideboard. That's pretty damn brutal, especially because you'll anticipate the other guy to take his Swords to Plowshares out, right, and put Divine Offerings in. And if you instead take your Shivan Dragons out, well, he won't have any outs against them. If you can't Swords to Plowshare them, I mean, there aren't exactly a lot of blockers that can handle a Shivan Dragon, so you'll just fly over moats and whatever you have and just kill the other guy. We also have Blood Moons that will be less effective in this matchup because there's a lot of basic lanes in the Dead Guy Ale opponent here. We do have another City in a Bottle. That might be great, unless you anticipate the other guy to take his Juzam-Geddons out. So these sideboard strategies are always a bit second guessing the other guy, right? I think I know that you know that I know, stuff like that. So we'll see how this plays out, but I would anticipate Jens Ole to take his Shivan Dragons in after sideboard here as additional punch. I don't know if the other guy will take in his moats. We shall have to see. I think that might be viable, at least against the robots, but those Shivan Dragons might catch him off guard if that's the case. Circle Protection Red will likely see play, and BB-8 will have a hard time removing enchantments because it doesn't have white or green. So, going in for the first match here, BB-8 coming up against Juzam-Geddon. We have round number 1 here, BB-8 on the left, and Dead Guy Ale, Juzam-Geddon, mulliganing his first hand here. Let's cut forward while he shuffles through that deck and see if he'll keep that second hand. He has to mulligan down to 6 cards at least. Okay, keeping the second hand. Who's on the play? Looks like it could be Jens Ole. We followed Jens Ole a bunch of times before. He is the winner from the first Long Island Cup, and also the winner from the first Eel Castle Cup. Just a land out of Juzam-Geddon here. Okay, land mocks into a Time War from BB-8. Oh, a workshop out of Jens Ole here, and a sushi. Actually his first turn here. Putting pressure immediately on Juzam-Geddon. So, yeah, asking a question here. Do you have an answer in time? Otherwise it'll be a lot of damage early on here. And mind you, both decks will try to get a read on each other. They don't know what each other plays here. Playing in a scrubland out of Juzam-Geddon, and now a Demonic Tutor. Yeah, we've seen his deck. What would you pick here? Snow Ancestor Recall, not enough mana for a Mind Twist. Perhaps just an answer against that sushi? Maybe a Disenchant? Okay, passing the turn to Jens Ole. Jens Ole swings in with that robot for 4 points of damage. First blood to BB-8. Needs to weather the storm here immediately. Ooh, a City in a Bottle. He cast that prematurely in order to keep the other guy's Cities of Brass away. Because a tutor target in the beginning could be a City of Brass if the other guy plays a lot of colors and he's not mana fixed. Because he doesn't have any blue mana out. But we know it will actually also put a dampener on those Juzam-Geddons. They can't get out under a City in a Bottle. Yeah, so Juzam-Geddon has to do a lot of thinking here. What should he disenchant? Oh, he Spiritlinks instead. Spiritlinks the sushi. That'll take care of that. No third land drop. Okay, there it is. No, that's a City in a Bottle. City of Brass, you can't play that, actually. So it wasn't effect that City in a Bottle. Did block that City of Brass. Putting down a second scrubland instead. So we have scrubland plains out of Juzam-Geddon. That's a factory out of BB-8. Sushi is spirit linked. Oh, but that's a Trisk. That workshop really coming into effect here, making the robot deck push out those robots far earlier in the game than would usually be possible. Yeah, a lot of considerations here out of Juzam-Geddon. Now have to balance here. Juzam-Geddon lets loose, shooting him for 3, and he discards his City of Brass. Though we actually know he only plays 2 colors, so it doesn't really mind losing that City of Brass. He does have he is mana fixed here. The factory comes over for a couple of points of damage. That's 5 points of damage all in all. So I think the most effect that City in a Bottle will have is that we can't really get any Juzam-Geddons out of the Juzam-Geddon deck. That's pretty damn brutal, because they would usually start to be dropped here. They would have been start to be dropped earlier actually, because he has Dark Rituals. And it is very early in the game, only turn 4 I think, but a lot has happened here because of workshops and Moxen. Good thing here. Oh, okay, casting Armageddon here. Likely does that because he wants to get rid of that workshop. Gets bolted for his as a punishment here. Though BB-8 still has a Mox, but I guess yeah, he still wanted to get rid of that workshop as quickly as possible. Mana Bolt coming out of BB-8. No lanes out of Juzam-Geddon here. A really risky move with that Armageddon, then no backup plan. But he must have just really wanted to get rid of it. Oh, and he also has a Soul Ring. Must have had that in hand. And okay, just wanting a mana source to be able to cast it. A couple of mana bolts here. Scrubland out of Juzam-Geddon. So both players just recuperating their lost mana here. Demonic Tutor. Yeah, and there's an open volcanic island. Blackly and insist to recall. I mean, you could Mind Twist for 6 instead, but then you'd have 2 tapped mana vaults and you can't untap them until you draw a 4th mana source, so it would be a risky proposition. This is the more safer play. Ancestor Recall. Passing the turn. Okay, no land drop. It is odd. I wonder what the Juzam-Geddon has in hand, because he has 2. Oh, he lacks a 2nd black mana source. That's why. It's another plains here. It's not what he needs. Yeah, with a black deck like this, you need 2 black mana sources to play most of it. Oh, that's the Mind Twist though. He didn't even. Then I don't know what he tutored for. I think he tutored for the Ancestor and then drew into the Mind Twist. Yeah, just taking the entire hand here. Brutal stuff. Oh, and there's 3 Juzam-Geddons, you can't play them because of the City in a Bottle. That is like the MVP of this game, an early City in a Bottle. That's a 2nd black mana source. It is surprising that he didn't draw into any disenchant, so he can disenchant that darn City in a Bottle. There's a bolt though, and a Sonic Blast and another Sonic Blast. Yeah, using the mana bolts for it. That is 11 points of damage here. That's game. BB-8 takes the first one. Burning the other guy out after having kept him in a headlock with that City in a Bottle for the longest time. 3 Juzam-Geddons in hand, man, couldn't play them, and didn't draw a disenchant in time. So yeah, that guy Ale will likely take in his 4th disenchant and some divine offerings here. I wonder if he'll make a switcheroo into skies. I mean, take the Juzam-Geddons out completely and put in moats and Serra Angels. I think BB-8 will put in his Shivan Dragons in anticipation of the other guy taking his Swords to Plowshares out and Divine Offerings in. That is his big gotcha strategy in this deck, and he doesn't have, apart from a 2nd City in a Bottle that he might put in, he doesn't have any really brutal sideboard options other than the Shivan Dragons in this matchup. Could put in a second the Abyss, obviously, but then that won't combo well with the Shivan Dragons. So I think he'll go Shivan Dragons. On the other hand, Juzam-Geddon might take in Sushis instead of the Juzam-Geddons and then not go for Skies. We shall see. This is the second round. This time it's BB-8's turn to mulligan down to 6 cards here. And Juzam-Geddon keeping his hand. Discarding a factory here. Okay, Swamp. And another factory. Jet. Ooh, a couple of mucks in here. Good start out of BB-8, but he has lost most of his hand. Or half his hand at least. He needs a 4th mana source, and then he can start to pump out those that stuff. Divine Offering on the Black Mox. Yeah, well, he doesn't want a Mind Twist here. And with Armageddons, you also would like to crack the other guy's artifact mana. Now attacking with the factory. Yeah, he could have kept it for the factory. Perhaps he wants to get an Armageddon out as soon as possible. And that's why he's cracking Moxen. But there was a 3rd Mox out of BB-8 here. Even has double blue mana now, so he can mana drain. If he has it. Strip mine the factory. Okay, that's why he didn't keep the Divine Offering for that, knowing that he could tankle it another way. Oh, okay. First attack out of Juzam-Geddon here. Hypnotic Spectre getting side blasted though. No bolts for it. Surprising. That's a pretty expensive way to get rid of it, but it is worth it. I mean, otherwise that Spectre will wreak havoc. Oh, Mind Twist for 3 here. Oh, for 2. Okay, getting the getting a Shivan Dragon in the lane. So the gig is up. He knows the other guy has taken in his Shivan Dragons here. Oh, Flash Fire. I didn't see that coming. Okay, in this case it actually does wonders. Cracking 2 scrub lanes here. There's a City of Brass though. Circle Protection red. Makes sense to sideboard that in. 4th mana drop out of... No, instead going for the lane tax here. Yeah, but we need another lane out of BB-8. And he doesn't need... doesn't need that much other lanes in order to function. Getting out of Spectra here. Side blasting the Spectrum. Very expensive answers again here. Doing 2 points of damage to BB-8 and costing 3 mana, but he can't risk having an unanswered Spectra. It is a bit surprising that he didn't draw any bolts, because usually Spectres, they don't have a long life expectancy against red decks like this. Maybe he sideboarded the lightning bolts out actually, in anticipation of the other guy taking out his Hypnotic Spectres in this matchup. This looks like a Mux coming out here, out of Juzam-Geddon. Oh, Braingeyser. Pulling ahead here is a bit of a standstill, so any card draw you can get access to is crucial at this point. There's this 3rd Hypnotic Spectre coming out here. I wonder if BB-8 has drawn an answer with that Braingeyser. The Abyss, yep, that's an answer. He doesn't have mana to disenchant it before it's his turn. Only a City of Brass untapped. So the Spectre gets blown away by the winds of the Abyss. Okay, disenchanting the Abyss here. Yeah, if only it had another land untapped, he could have done that at the end step, and then the Spectre wouldn't have gotten buried by the Abyss, and could have gotten in and nicked one of the cards here. The Braingeyser has put BB-8 ahead though, so he can trade like this, and actually the Abyss was a 2-for-1 here. Casting it, removing Hypnotic Spectre, and then he had to use a disenchant on it. So card advantage for BB-8. Now insists to recall. No, I mean Demonic Tutor and a Mind Twist for his entire hand. Getting rid of a Serra Angel here. Or he could have played that Serra Angel next turn after having disenchanted that the Abyss. As a tutor. While the other guy is tapped out. I think. No. Yep. The Demonic Tutor here. Likely take the Mind Twist of his own. He discards his entire hand. Oh, it's a balance, obviously. Yeah, the Mind Twist has been used. That makes sense. It's a great comeback here. So BB-8 is losing his entire card advantage. At least he doesn't lose a lot of lanes because he does have Moxen. But yeah, losing an entire hand here. Chaos Orb coming out. A bit of a nail biter this one. I actually thought BB-8 would pull ahead here. That balance, man, it's a great card. And BB-8 doesn't play any lanes because there's an active lane text out there, or inactive lane text. If there's more lanes on BB-8's side, Juzam-Geddon can start get some more lanes in. Now Armageddon here. Trying to force the other guy to play lanes, but the other guy has three Moxen. So I'm not really sure. Playing a City of Brass afterwards. So that actually makes it possible for BB-8 to play a land here. Ooh, Library of Alexandria. Now he doesn't have to play any more lanes. He can just start saving up for that to get 7 cards in hand. That Armageddon was a bit too premature, right? It would have been great to cast it to get a library as well, but he does play with 3 or 4 after sideboard. 3 or 4 Armageddons, I mean. Okay, trying to activate the Chaos Orb on the library, but it gets shattered here. Surprising BB-8 kept shatters in, actually. He must have anticipated the other guy taking in sushis, maybe. Dark Ritual as the sushi. Speaking of the sun. Now what do BB-8 do? Does he save up? He saves up for the library instead. That will require him taking 1 on the chin at least here. Sushi comes over, swinging for 4. Passing the turn. Now BB-8 is within library range. Riding that. Mana Vault coming down. Refuses to play a second land, and that is because, as said, the other guy has only 1 land and a lane text. So if he plays a land, Spirit Linking his own sushi here. Now attacking for 4 and gaining 4 points of life. That's what Juzam-Geddon needs. Really damn crucial life gain here against such a burn deck like Jens Ole's deck. 4 points of damage, gaining 4 life each turn. Jens Ole reading frantically with that library, trying to get an answer here. Triskelion coming down. It's a blocker at least. Oh, bolting the sushi. Now I can shoot it with the Triskelion likely. Yeah, shooting the final point of damage with the Trisk. The Trisk is now a 3-3, but getting rid of that Spirit Link sushi is pretty damn crucial. Juzam-Geddon needs to get some lanes out here. He needs to have an answer against that, or maybe not. Dark Ritual maybe? But he needs to have an answer against that library. Okay, there's the answer. It is a bit of a risk because there's an unanswered sushi running amok here. It's only a 3-3 though. He needs to get a hold on that active Library of Alexandria. And actually the other guy takes damage for his tapped Mana Vault, and he couldn't untap it because he didn't have enough mana after the Armageddon. Okay, the Trisk comes in for 3 points of damage here. Now untapping the Mana Vault. Oh, another factory here. Okay, getting in for 3 again. Ouch. I think This might be the home run here for BB-8. There's 2 factories next turn that will support the attack from that Triskelion. No answer out of Juzam-Geddon here. So what would we see? Ooh, a copy on this Trisk. Yeah. Hot damn, now I can use Mana Vault to activate both factories, getting in for 7 points of damage, and then be able to shoot for 5 afterwards. That's 12 points of damage. Oh, and the next couple of draws would only be lanes. So, okay, BB-8 takes the first match in this tournament series 2-0 here. Cheeky Flashfire, he put that in. That took me a bit by surprise. But it did work here, cracking 2 scrub lanes. We also saw the Juzam-Geddons coming in as expected. Didn't see any moats out of Juzam-Geddon. A heck of a lot of Juzam-Geddons and a Circle Protection Red and some Divine Offerings. 2 Divine Offerings, Circle Protection Red, and likely 4 Sushis as well. Going the ground army instead. Maybe he's taking out the Juzam-Geddon. Oh, okay, and the 3rd Serangel. So a lot of additional muscle here. It's always a bit of a risk. Oh, he took his Underworld Dreams out. I would never do that in this matchup, actually. And the Juzam-Geddons, that makes sense, but the Underworld, you shouldn't do that. I mean, his opponent is blue and red mainly. The Time Twister or Wheel of Fortune, and he needs to have a lot of draw power to recuperate when he burns the other guy. I mean, Underworld Dreams are crucial against burn decks, I feel. I think I wouldn't have sideboarded those Underworld Dreams out in this case. But the Sushis make sense, I suppose, against the Abyss. Another viable way would be to take the Spectres out, because they can be bolted, and then keep the Juzams in and just try to muscle the other guy down. I mean, there are City in a Bottle, but you do have, after sideboard, 3 to 4 disenchants and 2 Divine Offerings. That's a lot of answers against the City in a Bottle. And Juzam-Geddons, they are stronger than the robots. So different takes on this. I don't know what's best, but I think I would have taken, I don't know, maybe the Spectres out and put the Juzams in. Definitely keep the Underworld Dreams in against the blue-red. So yeah, 2-0, first match out of BB-8 here. Now we will continue to watch his travels throughout the tournament, and so the next battle will be with him as well, and then we'll try to sprinkle in some other matchups here and there from different kinds of tournaments whenever I can. So hope you enjoyed this. I'll catch you in the next video. See you next time.